Hello there and welcome to a brand new episode of Talk Music Talk with Boice. I am Boice. I am your podcast host. Thank you so much for listening, for checking out this podcast. If you happen to be listening for the very first time, Talk Music Talk is a weekly music interview podcast where I have long-form conversations with people who are connected to music from different genres and different backgrounds, established and emerging singers, songwriters, music therapists, music journalists. And on this episode, it was such a pleasure. I am speaking to Blacklion. Best way to describe him, in his own words, that he makes music like a visual artist. And when you hear his music, there's almost a tactile element to it. Let me tell you about him. He is a producer, a guitarist, a programmer, and who knows what else. His music is a combination of all the genres that he loves: post-punk, rock, experimental, and more. And it all combines to create an honest, original sound. I discovered his music scrolling through my Instagram feed. His label, Cohrran, posted an ad. Shout out to William Marshall, his record label head. Striking visuals. That first caught my eye. And then there was a comment from Cedric Bixler Zavala. I hope I'm saying his name right. From At the Drive-In and Mars Volta. He said, his tunes remind me of NYC when it was truly a terrifying and inspiring place to live. How can you not want to check that out? So I tracked down his music, listened to him, 2 EPs. They are out now on vinyl on Cohrran Records. I was just blown away immediately. Had a conversation with him, Zoom call. He is in Queensbridge here in New York. I'm in Brooklyn. Had a very musical conversation. Talked about how he started playing guitar when he was 12, growing up in the Bay Area, and its role in his early musical development and the music that he grew up on. We talked about his influences, his musical evolution, the process of creation. For example, he uses journals to spark ideas. We talked about him working with John Hassel and Henry Kaiser. We talked about the past year and the challenge of creating during the pandemic. After the conversation, you are going to hear 2 songs from the EPs, which he talks about in the conversation, of course, the genesis, the making of them. You're going to hear a song apiece. You're going to hear Speaking in Tongue is the name of one album. Speaking in Snake Tongue is the name of one album. And the track from that you're going to hear first is Lafilequi. I hope I'm saying that right. And the other EP, Today I Saw a Slave Become More Powerful Than the Emperor of Rome. And you will hear Richard Pryor from that. Here it is, without further ado, my conversation with Blacklion. Enjoy. Online, you were like a man of mystery. I can't find. There's very little.
You know what? I've heard that before. I've heard that people try to find me or try to get links to music, and we're there. The label's there. Everything's there. Yeah. I don't understand it, but.
So this is good for me because it's like I want to get to know you like over the course of this interview. So you've got the vinyl releases. So one is out already and the other one's coming out soon, right?
Right.
Vinyl releases. So when are these albums officially, like they came out before, right?
Yeah, the first one came out in I moved to New York in 2012, somewhere 2012 or 13, I can't remember. Mm-hmm. We worked on it. Well, I worked on it, but I worked on it in Portland. I was living in Portland at the time, okay. And it was all created there. But then it didn't come out until I think 2014. Mm-hmm. I think 2013 or 14. Yeah.
Was that Speaking in Snake Tongue or Today I Saw
Snake Tongue? Yeah.
Slave. Okay. And did you work on albums like back to back, or how was that?
No. We mean as far as years?
Yeah.
The second EP came out a couple of years after we actually officially released it. Not the first one. Yeah.
Okay. And so when something's been out for that while, now it's coming on vinyl, what is your relationship to the music from all these years?
Looking back in terms of
looking back, do you still connect to it? Does it feel different?
Yeah, very much so. Mm-hmm. Yeah, the music I do is pretty personal. It's most of it is based on how I'm feeling inside. It's very emotionally and spiritually expressive of what I'm going through at the time.
How do you express those emotions through instrumental music?
Yeah, that's a good one. It's not easy. It's kind of like I see the way I make music is very much like a visual artist, like a painter or a sculptor. It becomes a little difficult to translate because it's obviously vocalists can easily like relay what they're trying to say through words, but it's I try my best to not be so deliberate and more so kind of just let it go with the flow, kind of stream of consciousness. And this really the titles of the songs are more or just as important, if not more important than the actual music to me because of the lyrics, the lack of lyrics or whatever. But yeah, I see the music I do a lot like, being in a museum. And museum pieces. Yeah.
Okay. And how does it usually start for you musically? You have an idea, and then like, how do I get this idea in musical form? Or are you just like fooling around on? Like, what instruments what equipment are you working on?
I don't get too much into that, but
the secret sauce.
Yeah, more or less. I like to leave it more to people's, imagination. Let them kind of like find their own way. Yeah. In trying to figure out what it is, basically. I do use a lot of analog tape, and I use the MPC 3000. Okay. Yeah, I use a bunch of other things. Yeah. Well, do
you have like a sound in your head before you start, or is it just like?
Yeah, it's I usually have an idea of how I want things to sound. Yeah. I hear things a lot in texture, in tone, and I try to put together the picture of the emotions and the things I'm feeling or want to say. And try to translate that, try to make a connection between that and texture and tone. It's a big thing. Yeah. Okay.
And do the titles, those comes after the fact?
The titles are I'm always constantly, I have a journal, I keep a journal. I've been keeping journals for years. Titles are there. They and I just kind of see what fits the best. Yeah.
Because with these titles, what do you want people to feel or come into the song? Because often you'll see the title before you even hear the song.
I think just overall, just whatever it is that they, whatever the conclusion that they come with. Yeah. But some of the songs I try to not be so deliberate, but give keys to like what I'm trying to say. Okay. Right? Yeah.
And with this coming from the journal, how long have you been keeping journals?
Wow. Since I was 12, 13. Yeah.
Are these solely like creative journals?
I've lost a lot of them.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah, unfortunately. I still have some. I think the oldest, the earliest one I have is since I think about it's like 20, 21 years old.
Oh, okay. And how do you? Are they solely like for creative purposes? Or are you writing like personal stuff? Like
it's all creative. Yeah. I don't sometimes I'll jot down things that are like day-to-day life stuff, but it's pretty random. It's pretty all over the place, but it's mainly creative. Yeah.
Okay. And how long does it usually take you, like to say, to get through a journal?
Never thought about that. I'd say like maybe a year, 6 months. Yeah.
Do you look back at the journals?
All the time. Constantly. I'm in and out of it. Yeah. I'm always grabbing little things from things I hear or see and writing it down. And I do a lot of, let's see if I can show you. Some of my journals are a little bit more graphic in terms of like this one. Like I do a lot of drawings and different things that are kind of like, I used to do a lot of visual arts, like drawings and painting and stuff early when I was in my teens. So, because I'm really into visual arts a lot too, painting and photography and stuff. Okay. But yeah. So so that comes through in the writing too. It's all kind of like one to me. Yeah.
What do you I know when I look back at my own journals, it's like sometimes I like cringe at what I see. Like what is your relationship to like, looking at old journals and like where you were at that? Because it's like it's sort of like a snapshot of where you were at that time.
Right. I used to cringe a lot more when I was younger, but now I've kind of I just deal with it, you know. I just kind of like, you know, it is what it is, you know. Yeah. Go ahead.
Yeah, go ahead.
I've come to accept the idea of it being where I am or whatever it is at the time, you know, and not like try to like go back. I used to scratch out things a lot.
Okay.
Yeah, and then I said, you know, stop doing that. Just let it be what it is. Because I came to the terms that, you know, when I went back to look at certain things, I was like, I'm glad I came back to look at that, you know, and it brings it forward to where I'm at and what I'm thinking about, you know. So, yeah.
Are you able to see the evolution of yourself over these journeys when you look back? Like, how you've changed, evolved?
It hasn't changed much. That's one thing I noticed. Other than ideas have changed. Ideas of definitely progressed a lot. Because I've been through so much different areas of music, and it took for a long time. It took me a while to come to grips with like trying to mold all the music that I'm into and make it make sense. It was difficult for a long time, but then at a certain point, it started to make sense to me that, you know, how to like organize it and not so much academically, but just kind of like going with the flow of just letting it like find its own way, shaping it.
Okay. Yeah. How do you get
as far as guitar music, programming, and genre, you know, just trying to like make it make sense together.
Okay. How do you get to that? Is it just constantly like working on the music?
Just working on the music and just listening to music a lot, as you can see.
Yeah. You've got a wall of vinyl behind you.
Yeah. I've been collecting vinyl since I first really got into music, which was I was 12 years old.
Okay. You remember what the first vinyl was?
My first vinyl ever was Bootsy's Collins, Bootsy's Rubber Band.
Okay.
The one with the glasses.
Yes, my uncle had that, and they like popped out.
Yeah. That album really that was Hollywood Players. Yeah, that song really yeah, that when I think I was about 8 years old, 7 or 8 years old. That really, whenever it came out. But yeah, the combination of the glasses and the song, just kind of like as a kid, it's just like, yeah, this is shit.
Because that blew my mind. Like, wait, you can have stuff like cut out from an album cover?
Right. But that was the first record. The first records I ever got when I actually got into music and for my own as a teenager. Well, there's actually, I don't know. There's a backstory to it. My aunt, I grew up with my aunt taking care of me, babysitting me, and my parents and my grandparents used to force her to like keep me in her room. Yeah. And she was a big hard rock, metal. But she also was into Jackson 5s and Bay City Rollers. I don't know if you remember them. Yeah. And big Elton John fan. And so she had all the posters and everything on the wall. Really, my aunt was really shaped early on as a child, shaped my musical future, as far as musically and just even hanging things on the walls and all that. So she used to have all these records, AC/DC, Black Sabbath. She was a huge Journey fan. She belonged to the fan club. Okay. I'm
loving her.
Yeah. She was a sweet girl. And she took me to my first concerts. And so all the music that she had became a part of me. I adopted it. So when I was like 11, 12 years old was like the shaping year for me in terms of getting into music, because I started playing guitar at 12 years old.
Okay. And that was the first instrument?
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, actually drums was my first, but I was just playing pillows. Okay. And yeah, that's a whole nother long story. But yeah, drums was actually my first love. And then, but my friends at the time in the neighborhood pushed me. They knew that I was going to get I was getting an instrument for my birthday, so they said I should get a guitar because it's easier and I don't have to like sit the drums up and in space to play. So I got a guitar and I just fell in love with it and was fascinated with it. So back to the records. The record, I think it was Van Halen or Van Halen's first album or the second album actually, and Black Sabbath. Yeah. AC/DC, Black Sabbath, and Van Halen like my first ones, and Jimi Hendrix. Yeah. Jimi Hendrix, the documentary album. Yeah. The one with that one.
Okay.
Yeah.
So how was it for you, being black and liking rock music? Because I know I had kids in school would come up to me, are you the black kid that like white music? Because there's a time when it was like, that's white music, that's black music. Like, how was that for you during that time?
During my early days? Yeah. My early days, it wasn't really that hard for me. See, I'm originally from California. Okay. From Bay Area, Oakland.
I'm from a small town outside of Pittsburgh, so.
Okay. Okay. The Bay Area, as we all know, is like a rock and roll mecca next to Detroit and New York. But it wasn't that hard for me. But there was definitely some pocket moments, definitely a lot of pocket moments actually. Because I was a guitar player. And I went to my junior high school was primarily a white school, and they didn't like black folks being there. Yeah, they went as far as writing "niggers get out of our school" type of mess on the wall. But because I was a guitar player, all the dudes were like, he's cool, because he plays guitar really well, that type of situation. But yeah, and when we went to concerts, it was always you could we were like maybe 3 or 4 out of the black people in the concert hall out of thousands of people, hundreds. So, there was some incidents that would happen. Yeah. People, get out of here, nigga, you don't belong here type of mess.
Yeah.
And there were moments where my mom and my aunt and all of us went to a Journey concert. And it was, I'd been to Journey concerts before, but this was a special one because my mom came and, we were sitting up front and we were like 3 rows away from the stage. And these white women in the back of us didn't like the idea that we were in front of them. Yeah. And they started saying, I can't remember, but they were saying a bunch of stuff to us. And my mom being is, she don't take no shit from nobody. She got up and she got in their face and it turned into this whole big thing and the security and everybody came. But they made everything, cool. But yeah, I remember that being a big thing. Yeah.
Did that change your relation to the music any?
Nah. Nah. My whole experience with the music and music scene and as far as prejudiceness and racism and all that, it's been a really unique experience for me. It's a lot to go into, but it's been kind of like a how do you say it? I guess it hasn't been that bad, but it's definitely just been eye-opening moments, Yeah, it's as far as being from maybe where you're from, or from down south, it's in your face constantly. But being from Bay Area in California, it's at least from the area I was in, it wasn't that. Let's put it this way: it didn't actually come out as much until I became a black man, consciously later. Then that's when things started to change,
Okay,
and things started to like people started viewing me differently, and I started viewing people differently, and started seeing more things, in different light. But growing up from a teenager, it was it was a really good experience. Actually. Yeah.
How did the rock music influence your guitar playing? Because were you trying to sound like Van Halen and Sabbath? Or?
We all were.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Yeah, for real. Everybody wanted to be Eddie Van Halen, it's including me. And the guitar discussion is like a whole nother conversation. But yeah, Eddie Van Halen, Angus Young from AC/DC, Neil Schon from Journey. Later on, that I graduated into getting into jazz and Miles specifically, and got into art rock. And King Crimson was a big one for me, and Genesis and Yes, and Jeff Beck and all that stuff. But that totally opened my mind to a whole nother world to hear music, especially with King Crimson. That really impacted me and changed my whole view of how I heard music.
How did you get into King Crimson? Was that from your?
Just from my, I thought about that the other day because I posted something about King Crimson on my IG. Adrian Belew got me to Crimson because I was a big Adrian Belew fan, and from being a big fan of Frank Zappa.
Yeah. Oh yeah, dude, you're talking. Yeah.
Right.
The same influences, like
right. Good stuff. So Zappa, Bowie, and Talking Heads. I think that Zappa was the first to really introduce me to Adrian Belew. Mm-hmm. And then I was already into. Excuse me, my computer's about to die. Talking Heads, I was already into, but he hadn't joined the group yet. By the time I realized he was the guitar player behind Remaining Light. Yeah. And he turned my whole world around. And so when he joined King Crimson with Discipline, that opened the whole door to a whole new world of how I heard music. Yeah.
How were you? Were you practicing every day? Like, what were you?
When I was younger, I practiced a lot more than I did as time went on. Yeah. Because as time went on, I hip hop came about, right?
Okay.
So that hip hop came about, and at the same time, hip hop came about, and I got into hip hop through. I think. Are you familiar with Golden Palominos?
Yeah.
I was a big Golden Palominos fan. I think I was already into them before I really got into hip hop, and I started getting into drum programming. I was fascinated with drum programming, so through Golden Palominos.
Okay.
So then when hip hop Run DMC came out, that just sonically just took it to a whole other place. And so when hip hop came about, that changed my whole focus from guitar to wanting to make beats, and eventually sampling became the big thing, and got into that.
Was there a particular?
So my practicing kind of went out the window.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
Was there particular rich rap artists that you were into, or had a high influence?
Run DMC. They're the greatest to me. Yeah. They will always be the hip hop group to me over everything. To this day, they still. I mean, well, we know now a lot of people don't really understand how much the impact that Run DMC had, even to this day, I mean, there wouldn't be any gangster rap. It wouldn't be nothing hard about hip hop if it wasn't for Run DMC, right?
Yeah.
Houdini was a big one for me. Mantronics, because of the drum programming.
Okay.
Just Ice became a big deal to me. All the stuff that Just Ice did. And then, later I got heavily off into hip hop. I put the guitar completely away.
Oh, really? Okay.
You know what I'm saying? It was
just beats.
Yeah, I didn't, it was ugly to me. It was in the corner. But, And so I got heavily into sampling, at the early sampling days. That pretty much took over my life, but later guitar crept back into the circle,
How did you figure out how to put these things together?
Back to what I was saying, to shaping of things. Because I was really prejudiced against the guitar for a long time, because I know that, looking back, a lot of people, it made sense why wouldn't you just put them together and
especially with Raising Hell.
Right. Well, see, that's the thing about me. When I get into music, I become sort of a purist. Yeah. So, I'm about that shit when it happens. So, guitar to me was kind of like one of those things that was like, that ain't hip hop to me. That ain't no. When Run DMC came with Walk This Way and all that, I hated all that.
See, I hated Walk This Way. I love the rest of the album, but I hated Walk This Way.
And I was kind of mixed feelings about Rock Box and what's the other one? The other big one before Walk This Way? King of Rock, I think it was.
Yeah. So you were like just the first two albums when it was just like
right,
beats and rhymes,
the raw primal beats and rhymes in DJing, But when the guitar came in, I mean, I totally get the significance and the the evolution for them, but it just didn't do it for me. It's like don't bring the guitar into the music to me, because it was I'm done with that at least for now. So
Could you see in your school the sea change of rap? Because I know, I went to a pretty racially mixed school, and I could see the difference, when Beastie Boys and DMC came out, and how white kids were like, oh, okay, they're singing Run DMC. That's new, right?
Yeah, we all did. Yeah. We all did. And I went through some social issues, I guess you could say, with friend changes. A lot of the friends that I had were into from the rock background faded away, obviously. But there was some friends that were like a bridging point for me, and another one was Peter Gabriel. I really got into Peter Gabriel heavily, and I had friends who were into King Crimson and Peter Gabriel, and they were bridging over into hip hop as well. But as far as the hard rock and stuff, that all those friends, that was long gone by then. So there was a bridging point, and my social world became very different.
How was the social work? Because I guess you're going from one world was more white, and then now it's more black.
Yeah. Especially being in Oakland. It was hard. It was hard because I want to be with my people. And I want to relate to my own, but at the same time, and this is always an issue, right? If you're into rock music, it's always an issue.
I know.
Yeah. I mean, like I said, it was a pretty good experience growing up, but there were those moments where you get called a white boy because you're black and into rock music, and and you just dealt with it however you could. It was never like that big of a deal for me, but like I said, because people, because I was a musician, it made a difference.
So were you making your own music or just sort of just playing?
I've always been making my own music. Well, to rewind a little bit, I got into Golden Palominos and opened the door for experimental music in the whole Lower East Side, New York, post-punk stuff, DNA and all that stuff. That opened up a whole nother world for me at the same time. I was still into Crimson and that whole area, but then free improvisational music became more prominent in my focus. And it's just I'm all over the place, man.
I love this.
and I think you can hear it in my music. It's I'm all over the place, and it gets difficult sometimes to kind of wrangle all that into and make it make sense. Not so much anymore. It makes a lot of sense now, but over the years it's really difficult because also I got heavily into Detroit techno and electronic music. I lived in Europe for a little while, and that became my whole world. Drum and bass and jungle, all that stuff became a big part of my life.
So where did you go after Bay? Like where all the places have you been, and were they all connected to your music? Like once you left the Bay Area.
Well, I was always in the Bay Area for most of my life. I went to Europe because of John Hassel, who was another big part of my career change for me. Not career change, but he opened up some big doors for me.
Yeah.
I went to Europe to represent him. And
what do you mean represent?
Oh, there was the Netherlands Dance Theater. Yeah, really prestigious dance company.
Okay.
And he was commissioned to do music for a choreography, and he couldn't do it. He couldn't be a part of it because he had some other things he was doing. So he sent me to represent him.
Okay.
From America, and to basically, I was set up with the actual DJ. I wasn't DJing, but I controlled the music.
Okay.
Some of the sampled the music on my MPC 3000, and kind of constructed the music in a certain way to fit the choreography. And I was controlling that, and then there was an actual DJ who was cutting and scratching in certain elements of the music.
Okay.
So we were we were in these pods that rose up above the dancers.
Yeah.
Look really like a sci-fi film.
Yeah.
And we performed music above them while they're dancing below, and that I'm sorry, I forgot how we got into that, but
I was asking about the places.
It's a lot.
Yeah. You were asking about places you've lived. You said you lived in Europe, and that's how you connected to the John Hassel.
Right.
Yeah.
So that's how I made it to Europe through John. But how I met John Hassel is a whole different.
Yeah. How'd you get connected with him?
Me and John met. There was a concert in Oakland, an East Indian concert in Oakland, at a small venue, and I think it was Zakir Hussain. You familiar with Zakir Hussain?
No.
Yeah, he's East Indian musician. He was doing a show at this small venue in Jack London Square in Oakland, and John had came. I was at the front of the venue, and John had came in with some other people, and I immediately knew who he was. And he was about to walk past me, and I introduced myself and told him I was a big fan, and he was kind of rushing to get to his seat.
Yeah,
and we exchanged some words, and then he jotted down his number and told me to give him a call. And so, but I didn't give him a call until like 2 years later.
Yeah.
So
why was that?
I'm not the type of person to just like get at you just because I got your number, and what am I going to say to him? Like I wanted to wait until I had something to talk to him about. Okay. So 2 years later, there was an article in a musician magazine. I think it was called Musician, interviewing him about his latest album, which was City, Works of Fiction, and he was discussing about how at that time That's Public Enemy was like on fire. Yeah. And so he started talking about how the way the collage element of how they put their music together in the production was very similar to how he put music together in some of his records. And then I was like, ding, that light went off. I was like, that's a good point for me to call him. So, I called him, and we were on the phone for about an hour and a half, just talking about everything, mainly music. But it was like this. We were talking about a little bit of everything, and we hit it off really well. And he asked me what I was doing with the music. I was, as a musician, what was I doing? And I told him I had a hip hop group, and we were trying to like put some music together. And make a long story short, he decided to help us fund the music, the equipment we need to put it together. And we eventually got a little bit. It was definitely a long story of how it actually came together. It took a while, but we actually did it, and he gave it to Brian Eno.
Yeah,
and Brian Eno, because the plan was to get it to Brian and to kind of launch it on his label, and it would actually been the first hip hop record or group that had been involved with, and he gave us a budget, and so we went into the studio and we put it together. And at the time we were trying to put it together, the rapper in the group, who was my cousin, had a fallout with John.
Okay.
Yeah, we're just gonna keep it real short. And so it fell apart because of that. But John held on to me.
Yeah.
And we went on to become part. He started a project called Blue Screen, and he included me in it, and so that's how I got involved with Blue Screen.
Okay. Was that your first major, like, foot in the door type thing for your career?
No. Like I said, I'm all over the place.
Yeah.
My first foot in the door was, are you familiar with Henry Kaiser, guitar player?
Yeah.
Henry took, I met Henry through a mutual friend back when I think I was like 16, 17 years old. Henry, I met Henry and we hung out for a bit, and he pretty much took me under his wing. As far as he's the one that really taught me the world of free improvisational music, and I was already into free improvisational music, but he's the one that like showed me the ins and outs of it, and and different artists like Captain Beefheart and stuff like that. He got me my very first gigs, professional gigs, opening, playing guitar for John Zorn.
Okay.
John Zorn did his, I think, Cobra. Familiar with Cobra?
No.
Cobra is a piece that John Zorn had, and he started it. I think the first concert was here in New York, but our performance was like the second at the San Francisco Modern Art Museum. And that was my first professional gig. It's pretty big deal for a first gig for someone that's like 16, 17 years old. and that's where it all started. But see, as you can see, that was the guitar thing. That had nothing to do with like the whole programming and John Hassel. And so I'm like living in partially in guitar world, partially in hip hop, dance hall music world, and part avant-garde, esoteric music world, and free improvisational music world.
Okay. Do you see a thread between all these things and like what you can bring to those things? I hadn't really thought about that.
No, I'm not sure about that. Let me think. I think the only thread would be this aesthetically, through texture and tonal wise, and the production side of things. For me, that's the thread.
Yeah.
Because
what do you think when somebody wants Blacklion for a project? What do you think they want?
I'm not sure exactly what you mean.
Like, if somebody's going to hire you for their project to work with them, what do you think, or to collaborate with you? Is there something you think?
Me as a producer, or just as a
musician, producer, yeah, or is it different things that they may be looking for? Like, what do you get when you get Blacklion that attracts people to you?
I don't even know. I just had never thought about it that way. I guess you could say eclectic. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean that's me.
Yeah,
in a bag. You know, that's what you get when you get me. It's a little bit of everything. You just decide. Like, I produce music for other people, and I like the artist. Traditionally part of the idea of producing music is to, you know, help the artist bring the music to, you know, bring the best out of the music and help them find their way in shaping the music. And in doing that, letting them speak their vision into place and help shape it that way. And in doing that, I can draw from a little bit of the different areas of music and creative, artistically. Like, you know, it's a lot to draw from.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Like I can go anywhere.
Yeah. What attracts you?
Literally go anywhere.
I believe it, dude. What attracts you to a project to work on it?
Talent. Okay, for real, man. Nowadays, I don't know.
Yeah. That's not a given.
Yeah, right. It's not a given at all. Talent, uniqueness, definitely having something special, which is very, very rare nowadays. You know, across the board in rock, hip hop, everything is. I think the only area you find uniqueness or special, someone having a special voice or whether they play an instrument or a vocalist, is in electronic music. Like, electronic music is been like always been like an open frontier, right? Like, that's one thing we all love about electronic music, that there's definitely genre specifics and boundaries, but that can go out the window at any time, you know, and it's free. You know, no one really judges you if you experiment into another area of like Detroit techno and Aphex Twin, you know, the Clarks and the you know what I'm saying? It's just all over the place.
What do you think it is about that genre that lends itself to it? The technology, software?
It's the technology. I mean, electronic music is about, it's if you narrow it down, it comes to the technology, you know, and the palette. You know, it's wide open. You know, it's about exploring. Yeah.
Well, when do you decide to make your own EPs, your own music to release?
That came from William.
William, who runs.
William approached me.
This is Cohrran. How do you say the label?
Cohrran.
Okay.
Yeah.
So William from Cohrran.
Right.
Your label. We're releasing the vinyl.
Me and William were friends. We met because he worked at Amoeba Records. We met through a mutual friend who introduced us, and William was working on some music, and he brought me into the project. And long story short, that didn't actually take off, but he told me that he was going to be starting a label and that, you know, he would like me to, you know, be his first artist.
Mm-hmm.
Well, a few years later, he ended up contacting me and called me on it and asked me if I had any music, you know, and it took off from there, you know. I gave him a couple of demo sketches and he thought they were great. It's a good starting point.
Yeah.
That's how it started.
So how do you see the two sides of the same coin, the two like to you, how do they work together? Are they opposites? Like, how do you feel about them?
I'm sorry. What?
How do you feel about the two albums together? Like, they work as like bookends, or how do you see them?
The first EP is well, the second EP is a continuation from the first one, but it's, you know, like I was saying, my music is like a museum piece. It, you know, it's Speaking Snake's Tongue was as you can tell from my music that every song has a different personality.
Yeah,
different. It's all me, but there's different characteristics about them, and then the second EP is just a continuation of that.
Okay.
Yeah, it's the second EP is definitely a lot more darker, and just like I said, it's where my head was at the time, and things I was thinking about and feeling. You know, it takes me a long time to get to finish a piece.
Okay.
not just from also from technically, but also more of because I'm in my head and I get stuck there and I'm trying to like massage out how the music needs to be, and try to get it there as close as I can. And I have to say that both EPs, I pretty much got the music pretty close to where the way I wanted it to sound. You know, there's definitely some areas where I wish I could have did this a little differently, or you know, I felt like I could have dialed it in a little bit more. But yeah, I'm pretty happy with how they came out.
Yeah.
You know?
Well, at what point do you have to get to when you're able to let it go? A deadline?
Deadline is definitely one of them. Well, William doesn't put me too much under a deadline. We were pretty open about that. But there comes a point where, all right, motherfucker, dial it in. You know, it's really hard to cut off point. It's like painting. Yeah, it's like painting, right? Or making a sculpture. It's you know when it's there. You know, you know when it's you're able to stop. Okay, that's good enough.
Yeah. Did you have like a lot of stuff like to whittle it down to these two EPs?
There was a few other ideas, but what you hear is pretty much what I had.
Okay.
Aside from maybe 2 or 3 tracks that I left out. Yeah.
Okay. And did you do the visuals are beautiful for both albums? Did you do the also?
No, that's all from the label. That's all William. Yeah.
Yeah, it looks great. Everything looks great.
I'm actually working on a full-length album. And it's going to be very different. It's kind of like the first 2 EPs were the first museum pieces.
Yeah.
This is definitely where I'm at now. In terms of, there's been a lot going on, right?
Yeah. You know, when did you start on them? On this album?
It's been slowly coming together in the last 4 years.
Okay.
And, like I said, it takes me a long time to actually bring myself to more. What's different about this one is compared to the other ones. I have a lot of music that I'm sketched up, but and my idea is to like take them all and find the time to actually because I have other projects I'm working on.
Okay.
Which everybody will hear about soon. I'm eventually going to take the time aside to focus strictly on the album.
Okay.
Take all those tunes and like pick one and just knock it out. Knock it out, you know, in a quick way.
Okay.
Yeah.
Has how you worked on it changed in the past year? You know, being in lockdown and pandemic, did that affect any of the music?
My work process? Nah. It's been difficult trying to stay focused and, you know, with all what's going on and, you know, a lot of emotion, a lot of anxiety, you know.
Ditto.
You know?
Yeah.
And having other projects going on, it's been difficult, you know, but you know, I see it happening, you know. It's coming along.
Yeah. For your music, you know, like people who write books may have like a first reader. Do you have someone who you trust that you can get like feedback on, or
for
like,
the Blacklion project?
Yeah,
I have a friend. I have a very close friend who's like I kind of mentor him.
Yeah.
He's always asking me to send him music, and I'm just like, bruh, no. No. So that being said, the Blacklion music is I don't let anyone hear it. Until it's done. You know, it's just one of those personal things to me. Like I always tell him, you know, it's I'm not open to anyone else's opinion or advice about it because it's that personal to me. And no. Okay. But as far as these other projects that I have going on, I'm open to definitely other people hearing it and their opinions about it. Yeah.
Okay. How will you know when this Blacklion album is done? Is there like a feeling? You're like, when I feel this, I'll know I hit what I wanted. I've hit the goal. Like, how will you know when it's done?
The whole album?
Yeah.
Because I have a real strong idea of how I want it to sound. I don't know specifically. It's the same thing once again as like visual artists. You know, you have a sketchbook, and you know, and stream of consciousness things are going on, and then you know, you eventually will go back to them and pull from it and try to like develop it at that time. So I have an overall idea of how I want it to sound, but how it's going to be put together and sequence wise and which each piece is how exactly it's going to sound in the end, I don't know exactly. Okay. I like the idea that I don't know exactly, you know, at least it open to, you know, to let it be what it wants to be.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, I get that. Are you even at the title stage?
I have titles, but
that's good, right?
Yeah. Yeah. This album is it's going to speak a lot more about like it's going to be very obvious to what the material is about more than the last ones. Like I'm pretty poetic. I've always written poetic gestures. I always wrote like not full on poems, but just like I like words and I like the images that words, you know, convey, you know, but so the subject matters of these tunes are going to really be obvious a lot more than they have been, you know. Yeah.
Okay.
It's a lot to be said, you know. But
sure.
But this album is definitely heavily rock like art rock and like post punk, groove heavy and so a lot, like John Hassel always tell me, a lot more make it more sexy. Make it sexy. Whatever you're doing, make it sexy. That's what I liked about you. And bring more color. Let the colors come out. That's some of the things he would always say to me.
Well, I'm excited, dude.
Yeah, I am too. To be honest. Yeah.
Yeah, good for you, man. And I never ask people this, but because we have similar likes and stuff, I'm going to ask you your 5 favorite albums of all time.
Oh, like a lot of people do. I hate this. Because as you can see, that's difficult for me, right? Because
yes, I know. That's why I'm asking.
I'm all over the place.
I'm putting you on the spot.
Yeah, you are. Of all 5, all time?
Or what? Or you can answer like the albums that have been influential to what you do.
Okay, that's a little. That's a little easier.
Okay.
Well, Golden Palominos for one. DNA's first EP. Black Sabbath. Peter Gabriel.
Which ones? Which Black Sabbath?
Oh man.
The catalog.
Right. The Ozzy catalog. Well,
yeah,
I'll take that back. I like Dio.
Yeah,
I like Ronnie James. That actually, to be honest, Heaven and Hell was the first album that I really opened the door for me for.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, we sold our soul.
Well, I'm from that generation where that album, that was the big album at the time, right?
Yeah.
And then I went back, But
we sold our soul.
I heard all the Ozzy stuff, but when I actually got into Sabbath, it was Heaven and Hell was the one. Ronnie James, just to speak on it a little bit, Ronnie James is a brilliant lyricist. And I think that because it's a rock, it's a heavy metal thing, and the lyrics can come off a bit corny or I don't know,
purple,
cheap. Yeah. But I can, over the years of listening to Sabbath, I really, and because spiritually I'm really in tune to things. So listening to his lyrics, I can tell that he's into some real shit, and the way he says simple lines, there's a lot behind those. Check it out sometime.
Okay.
Neil's lyrics. But so back to what we were saying. Miles' Decoy record. Talk. Okay. Yeah. The Talk.
Like
I love Talk. But Miles' Decoy record is really big one for me.
What is it about the Decoy record? Because people you wouldn't normally say Decoy.
Electronic.
Okay.
That opener. Do. That and Robot 415. That the fact that it was I was already into Miles and from the the 60s and 70s stuff.
Yeah.
But Decoy is where really the first Miles album that really I first bought. I got turned on to Agartha after that.
Yeah.
And but the fact that Decoy came out during the beginning of the hip hop era, and it was drum programming, and it was live musicianship, and it was jazz. It just took me. It just took me to that album is really. You said something about what bridges to what's the line between that brings the
the thread between
that album would be one of them, in the fact that it's in terms of influencing me, being a bass player. Well, I'm not a bass player.
Okay,
I play bass. I'm not a bass player, but I play funk bass.
Yeah,
as well as rock bass. Miles' Decoy album really did that for me. Because of Daryl Jones's funk bass and Weather Report was another one.
Okay.
Yeah, Weather Report. The whole Weather Report. I can't even get into which one is my favorite, but I'll just say Weather Report is another one.
And Chaco, and he's amazing. Yeah. Because I know you had like some Johnny Mitchell posted on your IG. Yeah.
Of course. It's another big, there's so many. That's why it's so hard, man. It's hard. You know, Joni Mitchell is a big influence on me, you know. Derek Bailey and James Blood Ulmer as guitar players, you know. The guitar player influences the whole nother thing, you know. But yeah.
Oh, great, man. This is wonderful. I'm glad we were able to make this happen.
I really appreciate this, man. Yeah,
this is fun, dude. Best place, people, the vinyl is out there for one. That's coming out. Best place for people to get you online.
Cohrran Records.
Okay. And your IG, which is Blacklion, BLKLN.
Yeah.
Cool, man. Did I leave anything out?
I'm sure we did. but you know, we do our best.
Yeah. This is wonderful, man. Thank you so much for doing this. I appreciate it.
Thank you for having me. I appreciate it. Definitely, brother. It's, you know, I haven't really been able to talk much about what I do. You know, this would probably be the first.
Oh, really?
So, okay. Yeah. So, yeah, it's definitely appreciated.
Sure. I love what you do, and I wish
you, man,
all the best and everything else.
Thank you.
Okay, take care. And that was Two from Blacklion. You heard Lafill-Key from Speaking in Snake Tongue, and Richard Pryor from Today I Saw a Slave Become More Powerful Than the Emperor of Rome. If you'd like more information on the EPs and to grab them on vinyl, head on over to his label, Cohrran.com. Cohrran is spelled Cohrran. Link in the show notes for you. And if you would like more information on this very podcast that you are listening to, head on over to talkmusictalk.com. More podcast information, and you can stream every single episode. Also, if you are on Instagram, follow me there at This Is Boice. Some requests for you: please subscribe to the podcast. iTunes, Stitcher, Google Play, Spotify, Amazon Music, iHeartRadio, Samsung Free. Pretty much everywhere is what I'm saying. Wherever you happen to listen, please leave a 5-star rating and or review to help expose the podcast to brand new listeners. Just search for Talk Music Talk. There is also an app. It is free wherever you like to get your apps. Again, just search for Talk Music Talk. Thank you so much for listening. I hope you enjoyed Blacklion's music. I hope you enjoyed the conversation. Until next time, and there will be a next time, this one's for you, Liz.